on the Speedway. Now, the price of fuel, we don't have to tell anybody what the price of fuel is driving everybody nuts. But normally, we don't have to worry about the price of diesel, and oftentimes diesel, I always remember diesel being cheaper than gas, but not any longer.
Not since I bought my truck.
Yeah.
To pull my
Joe brought his big truck, and the price of diesel has gone through the roof. Joining us is Ken Skaggs, who knows about trucking. Ken, welcome to the show. We appreciate you being here with us.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys.
What is this, the price of gas or the price of diesel doing? Obviously, it's driving the cost up of everything, isn't it?
I'll tell you, it's devastating. It is really devastating to, especially the small companies and the independent owner-operators. Fuel always was a big percentage of their expenses.
Right.
You know, it used to be like 50-60% of their money had to go on fuel. Now it's more like 70-80%.
Wow.
So it's literally cut a lot of people's pay in half.
And obviously, now, how do truckers charge? Is it so much a mile, or how is this all done?
Yeah, it's by the mile, and the government recommends a fuel surcharge that you can charge your customers, but, you know, it's not a law. Everybody don't want to pay that.
Right.
So a lot of the big companies or the guys with, paid-off trucks can bid lower than, a lot of the independent owners, and that's what's happening.
What do they charge typically? I mean, does it depend on, is it per mile, but how much is it? And does it depend on how far you're going, how short the distance is, what the product is, or how is that all figured?
Yeah, it does depend on the distance. Generally speaking, it's about $1.50 to $1.70 a mile. If it's a short distance, like 30 or 40 miles, then it's going to be more like $3 a mile. But if it's cross country, you might get it for $1.20 a mile.
Okay. And what is this going to do? I mean, is it be a situation where the smaller owner-operators aren't going to be able to... Of course, competition drives down the price, obviously, but if the smaller owner-operators can't afford to roll, then it's just going to be the bigger companies.
Right. That's what a lot of people are afraid of, is what we call a Walmart scenario, where it drives the smaller companies out of business, and then all you have left are the giants. That could possibly happen if it keeps going the way it is. And
then they can pretty much dictate the price.
Yeah, right. Once they get it, it's like a monopoly.
Ken, do the bigger trucking companies get fuel cheaper? Are they able to pool their resources? And would there be an opportunity for maybe some of the independents to do the same thing?
Yeah, they do that. It's hard for an independent to do it, because what they do is these huge trucking companies, they have multiple terminals all across the country, and they install their own fuel tanks. So they can get a big tanker to come in there and drop off, I don't know how many thousand gallons, and then they buy it in bulk that way, and they obviously save some money.
How come diesel? I thought diesel used to be... Didn't diesel used to be cheaper than gasoline?
Yes, it did.
And what happened?
Back around 2004, diesel passed gas, so to speak. And there's a few reasons why. Mostly it's the imports are... well, let me put it this way. There's three reasons for it, according to the government.
All right.
Worldwide demand has gone up. That's the main reason.
For diesel.
Europe, China, India, and even the United States. And then you have the transition to lower sulfur fuels, which is very costly. They have to make this new fuel now because of the restrictions on sulfur emissions. So those that were enacted in 2004, those regulations, so the fuel companies have to change their whole refining process to make this low sulfur fuel. And the federal excise tax also went up just a little, but that made just a few pennies difference. But
wow.
But the combination of those three things is why diesel moved ahead of gas back in 2004 and has stayed there.
Okay, now the sulfur emissions and everything, when they get the refining process down, is there a chance for it to come back down then, because they'll have a better grip on that, or can do it more efficiently?
I really don't see... Well, it probably will as they become more efficient. I would imagine it would. But I think demand is the biggest issue.
Right. Yeah, we found out yesterday that, like, you remember the two-cycle lawnmower engine you get on your lawnmower? They've outlawed they can't even afford to have those. They don't even let those on anymore. You can't even have a two-cycle lawnmower engine.
I didn't know that.
Well, I just found it out yesterday. That's scary, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
The government has outlawed them.
Well, the EPA and all that kind of stuff, they put all these restrictions on them to where it's not feasible to use them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good grief. Well, how many independent truckers are there in the United States? Do you have any idea, Ken?
No, I don't. I have seen some numbers. It's been a long time. I would say it's in the low millions, like 1, 2, 3 million.
Oh, for crying out loud.
And if there was one good thing that the high prices did bring about, I know a lot of folks are driving slower and trying to get the better economy, but still, I mean, up around $4.50 a gallon, it doesn't matter how slow you drive. It's not helping you.
It does make a big difference in a truck. You'd be surprised.
Really?
Yeah, under 65 in a big truck, you can average 6 or 7 miles per gallon. But once you start getting over 70, that drops very steep. You can, just by going up to 72 miles per hour, you can get 3 miles per gallon.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Cut it in half.
And how many trucks are, like they call it deadheading, in other words, you come back empty. You're supposed to deliver something to somebody.
Right.
And like from Indianapolis, you go to Chicago with a load. And then is it you have to come back empty, or is it just harder to pick up a load in Chicago to get back here?
Well, that depends on the person or the company. Drivers don't obviously like to deadhead. That's a waste of money. So I've heard stories of drivers that have literally just waited until they found something.
Right, rather than driving back empty.
Right.
Very nice.
Because the truck costs so much per mile to run, and they'd rather just sit there and lose a day's pay, because if they drive a day for nothing,
right,
they still lost a day's pay.
There's a lot of talk about trying to go to hydrogen and some of the alternatives. Is there an alternative to a diesel engine, big rig truck?
I have heard talk of electric.
Could give you that much torque.
Well, that's the problem. They have to have 2 engines. They have to have one to get it going, and then they can switch over to some electric engine or something. It's still in the development stages, but I have heard of it.
Very nice.
And they haven't yet figured out how to take off with all that weight yet.
Yeah. Ken, what's your website? How can people read more about you and get up to date on what you're doing?
It's www.bigcitydriver.com.
Very nice.
I got some videos and MP3s on there all about safe city driving.
Very nice. Ken, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, Ken Skaggs. There you go, 524. Set up to the